But you yourself, on this 12-year journey, you're satisfied.
I'm absolutely satisfied. That last episode was a set piece that was worthy of one of the films.
Yeah. This is Jabba the Pod. Right, sons, and welcome to SYFY WIRE's Jabba the Pod, our weekly Star Wars podcast where we discuss and celebrate the movies, shows, books, comics, games, and everything else from the galaxy far, far away. Every generation has a legend, every legend has a podcast, and this is ours. I'm your host, disgraced former Jedi and Force mystic Brian Silliman. Joining me are the greatest co-hosts in the galaxy, starting with former Force-sensitive Assassins Guild member turned droids rights activist Caitlin Bush.
Hello there.
And the man who lets us record on his starship, the smuggler with a not-so-secret heart of gold, captain of the Starbinger, Matt Romano.
Greetings.
Happy May the 4th to you, and what better way to celebrate May the 4th than talking about the finale of the entirety of Star Wars, The Clone Wars.
Sir, yes, sir.
Clone Wars saved, Ahsoka lives, ended, the Clone Wars have. We are going to get into all of it in the final episode and a little bit of the series as a whole and what it has meant to us. Of course, we are going to celebrate and discuss the Kark and Criff out of this episode. Now, there will be some canon coming at us, and when there is, we'll fire off our trusty cannon. If you have hot takes along the way, we'll sound the hot take alarm, and if anything really blew our minds, then we'll let loose with a seismic mind charge. But this episode is brand new, so do not watch any further if you haven't watched the episode. There is what, Caitlin?
There is a clear order in which you should watch the Clone Wars and then listen to or watch our podcast.
Absolutely, but because we don't want you to be spoiled, we are going to build the baby, and we're going to sound the spoiler klaxon. Yes, more sound it. I build the biggest baby spoiler klaxon train. You coward, sound it more. Let's punch it.
Begun. The Clone War has.
Okay, May the 4th, 2020, The Clone Wars 7.12. The new episode hit Disney Plus early this morning. Actually, it was around 12:30 in the morning. It was
what?
very late.
I could have watched it. I was awake.
Man.
I could have watched it.
I was too. I was still up then, and I saw that it was up. And I'm like, do I watch it now and do everything and then go to bed instead? And I was like, let's just sleep and then get up.
Self-control.
Really, so it was crazy. That and Rise of Skywalker hit at 12:30. So I'll watch Rise of Skywalker 3 times, and then and
then now you're doing the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not the timestamps have long lost any meaning, but it's 23:44. So it's shorter.
Short.
And the title, War, What Is It Good For? No, just title is Victory and Death, which is pretty much the two things that wars bring you. Written by Dave Filoni, directed by Nathaniel Villanueva. The soundtrack for these final 4 episodes is out. It was not out at the same time as this episode. This episode was out first. So, of course, I checked for this soundtrack.
Oh, my God.
It was out this morning, of course. So we'll just start from the beginning. The titles, as we've come to expect, the music came up on the Clone Wars logo, and it definitely evoked one of the final Revenge of the Sith tracks, and it sets the mood pretty well at being very depressing. It's the one. It's the track that it covers Padme's death and the funeral and her funeral and Vader's rebirth. That whole masterful sequence of those things cut together. With voices and everything else. No narration again, so I'll provide it. Ahsoka and Rex cornered is what it would be. It would be really weird to have that narration in these.
Yeah, it really would have ruined the tone of everything.
I mean, it would be too, and also we've said this before on the show, but it really, these 4 episodes really act as a singular movie. This is one very large episode, which is often how a lot of these Star Wars: The Clone Wars arcs happen. That's kind of what we've seen in this entire season, but especially with these 4 episodes.
Yeah. Well, we start right where we left off. Clones are breaking through to get to Ahsoka and Rex. Ahsoka and Rex has Rex rather set blasters to stun, and she doesn't want to kill anybody. And that's a major thing in this episode. They don't really know what's going on, but she know, and the clones are shooting at them to kill.
Oh yeah,
but
they
Rex
don't care.
is on stun the whole time. Ahsoka is always on defense, and as Maul shows us in this episode, it would be so much easier if they just went for the kill. If she just started slicing everything up.
Yep.
And I immediately
Instead,
thought,
she gets beat to hell.
Yeah, Yoda doesn't hold back in Revenge of the Sith with his flinging his lightsaber.
No, he does
through
not.
the air
Nope.
and everything else.
Heads go flying.
Yeah.
And so it's that stuck out immediately, and I'm like, well, I wonder if that's going to last, and it does. This whole episode, they're always on the defense. Like she never goes to kill.
Nope.
And neither does Rex.
She could have. She had so many opportunities to, and she just doesn't.
Yeah, at one point I caught myself screaming at the TV and I was like, just like force choke them or something. It's like, oh, actually, you're better. You're a better Jedi.
You're better than the choices that I would make.
I mean, that's the thing. She's not even a Jedi. She's better than that.
Right.
She's
Exactly.
what a Jedi should be. And she's at the point where she's not a soldier, not a Jedi. She's at this place where she doesn't know what she is. And again, I'm just going to call it out right now. The work from Ashley Eckstein and Dee Bradley Baker in this episode, because this is really an episode about them. There's much ado. There's Maul stuff in here, and Maul is taken care of and has a glorious scene of destruction. But the voice cast, the credits of this episode are very small. It's pretty much, Dave Filoni is cheap. Ashley D. Bradley Baker and Sam Witwer, and that's it. That's the cast.
Yeah, and it's amazing the series comes down to those two. It's like I think we spoke about this before, but the two original characters from the series. It's not an Anakin adventure, it's not an Obi-Wan adventure. Even Darth Maul to a point is like an original Clone Wars character.
In this form, he is absolutely
his return. Yeah, for all we knew, when we first saw Revenge of the Sith, we didn't know he came back. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So is his entire thing with robot legs, and all of that. He is this Maul is a Clone Wars creation. For all intents and purposes. But so we talked about it a lot last week, and by a lot I mean a lot,
like an hour.
But
literally.
I know, Matt. I already apologized. Outer Rim Sieges. Yeah, sorry, Why? Why is that so gross?
I don't know. It's
Anyway.
like it makes me so uncomfortable.
All right. Well,
Outer Rim Sieges.
Now he's doing it.
So much.
Well, the Outer Rim Sieges where they took my leg. Anyway,
Just gonna drink my
Damn it,
calf and
Lars.
just
What are you doing?
Lars, come on, man.
No.
Get out of here, Lars.
It's again. It's not. I was. This is what after last week. This is what I was expecting from this episode, because last week changed my expectations completely. Because we we all were laying bets. It's like, we're going to see animated more Revenge of the Sith and the big, on the whole, and that's not what these last two episodes are at all. It's really. It's much more poetic. It's more of a tone poem. It's reduced to. It's not the entire galactic.
It rhymes.
Republic falling. It's one Republic cruiser. It's like the whole story is told through one Republic cruiser, one clone, and one former Jedi. And through those things, it's like you get the whole story in microcosm. And it's, it's the whole thing told through a smaller lens with our original characters.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's such a brilliant way to go.
I'm happy all of my predictions were wrong. Like I never I'm so glad that all my expectations.
Wow, you heard it here. You heard it here first, everybody. No, I'm glad they were wrong too.
I don't think anyone's expectation. I don't think anyone guessed how this was going to be. Everyone had their.
I'm pretty sure I guessed it. But
okay.
Yeah,
we'll discuss that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Well, you texted.
I'll go
me
back
last
to the
night and you're
recordings.
Like, man, you were so right about everything.
We're gonna go back
I was
to the
like,
recordings, but
I know. Anyway, but it's such a smart thoughts about that in general, because it really, what it reminds me of is my favorite scene from Revenge of the Sith. Well, if I want a lightsaber battle, I'm not going to pop this one on. But it's no words. It's just Anakin and Padme looking out across Coruscant at each other, and it's silent. And there's a lot of moments like that in this episode, especially the end. Anyway, thoughts on the way they handled the whole thing in general, Caitlin Bush.
I think it's beautiful. I was actually this weekend. I was rewatching some of the episodes of The Mandalorian in preparation for this documentary that's coming out, and I was reminded how much I love the second episode, The Child, which is mostly just silent. It's mostly just physical humor and them just kind of. It is so different from anything else that we've ever seen in Star Wars, and this kind of has that same vibe that we're going to give you something different from what you're used to, but it's still going to feel like you're living in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Matt Romano, thoughts?
No, I thought it's a fantastic episode. Like, we were talking about before the show started, like there wasn't a lot of dialogue. It was just all in that big action sequence for the most part. I mean, there was dialogue, but it wasn't like, it was more heavy on the action. And, there was some real suspense there, even though Ahsoka's going to make it and be fine. She's falling through the air. Yeah. I mean,
it's how. It's how they get there that is so amazing. It's interesting that you mentioned that Mandalorian episode, Caitlin, because when I was rewatching the second two yesterday in preparation for this one, I'm watching the Maul Ahsoka lightsaber battle, and I'm like, how is this in the same storytelling universe as that episode with the furry egg and the yolk? I'm like, how that's all part of the same saga. I'm like, Suka. And I'm like, how is this all the same thing? And I'm like, it's I mean, they're distant and very far away from each other timeline wise and in every way, but it's still that Star Wars and that Star Wars. And I'm like,
it's
man,
great.
that's one wide net those Trandoshans are shooting there. Anyway, we're still being helped by our pals R7, GG, and Cheap. Side note, fun fact. The real fun fact is most of the time fun facts aren't actually facts and they aren't fun. Anyway.
Oh, really?
But anyway, fun fact.
And
R7A7 has been on this show before. Not D Squad. None of these droids are from D Squad. To answer some real talk that we got this week, none of these droids are in D Squad. But R7 flew with Ahsoka in the season 1 episode Storm over Ryloth. Remember, that's the mission where she screws up and gets some clones killed.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, there's some beep beep beep, and she says, "It's my first mission. It's my first time in command. I don't want to screw up," or something like that. She's talking to R7. That's R7. He also pops up a few other times, notably in the beginning of the episode Sabotage, the beginning of the end, the Wrong Jedi arc. So. I keep saying he, not to force a gender on R7, but it's I thought that was fun. I didn't realize until I looked it up. The escape pods are gone, so they need a shuttle. And also, Ahsoka tells Rex that Maul didn't escape; she let him out. And Rex just gives it like a why? And
why would you do that?
It was a laugh in the middle of this fairly serious episode, but a very funny line reading from Rex.
Poor Rex is so tired.
Yeah, he's just. I mean, he just had major surgery.
Yeah, he literally had part of his brain taken out.
He was in the space CAT scan machine, and again, like he got to the hospital early. He hadn't eaten the night before because he wasn't allowed, and then there's like a 5-hour wait. There's a noisy kid in the waiting room.
So much protocol.
And it's just
been a
really
bad
annoying.
day for Rex.
Yeah, it's been a bad life.
And now
Rex.
his brothers are trying to kill him. It's fine.
Yeah,
yeah,
and they're all, and now he knows. Oh, my entire life was one evil Raisin's evil scheme. Great.
Cool.
Maul has no trouble with killing clones at all. His Vader Rogue One rampage continues. He screws stuff up in the hyperdrive room. This was beautiful. This is our final big Clone Wars rainbow explosion scene as he just rips the hyperdrive apart with the Force.
Yeah.
And the ship is in bad shape. The hyperdrive, you thought, oh, the hyperdrive failed, and then they show the outside of the ship. It's like, no, it's gone.
It's
like,
gone.
He just destroys it. The engines are gone. The whole ship is smoking in space.
And then you think to the hyperdrive and everything, it all looks very similar to when Obi-Wan is in A New Hope is trying to lower all of the shields and everything. And it's kind of the same space. And then you're kind of thinking the entire time, I'm like, Obi-Wan could have done that too, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, here's what Obi-Wan does, and here's what here's Kenobi, and here's Kenobi's best nemesis. I'm like, well,
Caitlin, that is an excellent point on Star Wars Day.
Like,
Thank you.
Yeah.
What a May the 4th observations. Yeah. All I wrote was, well, that's one way.
That's one way to do it.
It's like there's the subtle way, and then there's that. I think they would have noticed on the Death Star if. But it's if they would have probably gotten out of there a bit quicker if Maul was just running around causing chaos. It's like always just have Maul with you and just need a diversion, just let him out. Yep. Team Good Guy, still on the move. How is that what I wrote? Still on the move. Everything locked down. Rex says, if they weren't trying to kill us, I'd be proud. And I love that he's still Captain Rex, even though now he's promoted to Commander. I love that he's still, some part of him is still like, good job, guys. It's
yeah.
They're still my guys, and they're doing.
He was impressed
job.
with their lockdown procedures. Yeah,
it's like that's the way to do it. It's like they really did a good job with this, at my expense, but good job all around. Unfortunately, the droids are still proving highly useful to them, and again, I find this hilarious that now that the clones are turning against them, they're turning to droids, and the entire playbook of the Clone Wars is flipped. Later on, skip ahead a little bit, there's a moment where the clones just blast the 3 droids.
Oh my God.
And how many times in the show have we seen clones blast droids before? And that's what we like watching. That's how the show starts. That's the show, is clones blasting away droids. But this time it's like, wow. It's
not our droids, not our nice droids.
Flipping the script like that was horrifying. I'm like, what did Cheap ever do to you?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too, is that now the droids that they would have been killing in the beginning are on their side. So now they're just blasting all of the mech droids and stuff that have always been on our side.
Exactly. So the ship is being pulled towards a moon, and we know this because there's this incredible shot of the hangar doors opening, the top hangar doors, and it's just the ship is just moving towards it. Some of the shots in here are just the most beautiful that the show has ever done.
Yeah, a lot of it. There's so many like length shots of the Imperial, the cruiser, and just the vibes of the opening scene of A New Hope, where it just keeps going and going and going. That's the vibe that it gave me.
Yeah, it's. I kept saying, "Wow, there's a lot of beauty shots of this cruiser," and that's when I came on the thing. It's like, this isn't just a cruiser. This is the whole Republic. This is emblematic. This is the Republic literally falling.
Yeah.
And not literally at all, poetically falling.
Metaphorically, if you will.
Ahsoka has this line. She just sees that and she says, "We need to get out of here." And I was again blown away by the reading from Ashley Eckstein. Yeah, I've said it once, I've said it a million times, but she just blows my mind in this arc. She really does.
Can we get a seismic mind charge for that? Should we get a mind charge?
Mind blown. Anyway, they find a shuttle, but then they find tons of clones come out, led by ARC Trooper Jesse, who has recovered from his Maul shakedown. And they were waiting for them. They can't fight through them. There are just too many, and Ahsoka still doesn't want to hurt them. Rex says they don't care. His brothers are willing to die. Rex to die, kill them, whatever. It's like they don't care. Rex is trying to sort through all this. Also, I just wrote the amazing again here from D. Bradley Baker. So it's just I could say that over and over and over, but they just you whittle it down to just the two of them, and it's incredible. And not just them, but the way they play off each other. And certainly they were in the same room doing this, because the chemistry, not just between these two characters, but between D. Bradley Baker and Ashley Eckstein, is just palpable.
Yeah.
There's this beautiful moment then when Ahsoka takes off Rex's helmet and he has shed a tear.
A single manly tear. And
Ahsoka says, they may be willing
to die, but I am not the one who is going to kill them.
I'm like, part of me is like, noble, but foolish. I'm like,
but
I know
dumb.
You survived. Yeah, I'm like, but valiant. But you know the thing about valiant people, they're so easy to kill.
It's just like it's just like he knows like what's going through their heads. He experienced some of that. He knows
that's the thing. It's
the ruthlessness that they are now dealing with.
Yeah.
Knowing somebody who knows exactly what the program is, who's then had it taken out of him, who has seen the full picture and knows what they're up against. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen a clone. We've seen him way in the future having dealt with it, Rex and Wolf and Gregor, but we haven't seen it right in the moment. And so it's fascinating seeing him in this perspective. Ahsoka says she has a new plan and she thinks it's a good one. Rex enters the hangar bay pretending to have Ahsoka captured. It's pretty much like a spin-off. It's not quite Get Help. I thought they were doing Get Help for a minute. But it's not. The clones all take position. Jesse says to kill her. They have orders, but Rex says the problem is, he's like, they were ordered to kill the Jedi, and Ahsoka Tano is no longer a Jedi.
He's like, well, technically.
Yeah, it's like, technically, she's not a Jedi. There was a whole arc about it.
Didn't
Jesse
you watch
responds,
the show?
Yeah, it's like, do you even watch? Dude, what do you bench? Jesse responds, he's like, we are under direct order from Darth Sidious, again, dropping the full-on Sith name. I'm like, oh my God. To eliminate Ahsoka Tano and any other clone who disobeys. So I get the feeling that the specific order given to the clones on this ship was not kill the Jedi. It was kill Ahsoka Tano.
Well, I think, too, Jesse points out that it was Rex who was like, Ahsoka Tano, like, she is a traitor, we have to kill her. Like, Rex himself, I think, is the one to have pointed it out, like, that's where his Order 66 brain was at first. He was like, oh, Jedi? Ahsoka, obviously.
Yeah, the only other Force user on board is Maul, and they were trying to eliminate him, too. So it's any other clone who disobeys is a special thing, too, because, of course, Rex is non-compliant this whole time, but he keeps Jesse talking for as long as possible, and Jesse eventually takes his rank away and says he's committed treason and will be executed. The plan, though, is ready to go, and Ahsoka says, ready, and Rex says,
yeah, I didn't do much like being a commander anyway.
Very loud.
So, the droids spring the trap, and platforms drop, and all of a sudden it's Jedi Fallen Order. And clones go flying. Ahsoka and Rex spring to action, and Maul comes in, flinging stuff everywhere, and he says, you wanted this chaos.
Yeah,
He's like going on a Maul page. Maul tries to escape in the shuttle. Ahsoka stops it from taking off with the Force, and she strains so much stopping the shuttle that Force lightning shoots out of her hand.
I was going to say, that's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, right.
Not really, but who thought that?
And she kills
absolutely.
Chewbacca. Terrible.
But he was on another transport.
Oh, he was on another one. That's right.
He was on another transport, still in the Shoney's. The clones are closing in, though. Rex is overwhelmed. R7 goes down, and Ahsoka has to let Maul go. And I'm like, this is kind of the choice moment. She can either, trap Maul or save Rex, pretty much. And this is as much of that moment as we get in this episode. But so she has to let Maul go. I was impressed, though. I'm like, that's impressive Force usage. Because one does not simply just stop a shuttle with the Force.
No. I just love, too, that, like, Rex just grabs onto her and is, like, trying to hold her back going the entire time.
Like,
I'm like, what are you doing? How is that going to help?
This is not the time to start holding hands. Let go of my hand.
I actually, at one point, I think it's R7 that, like, drives up to them, and I kept expecting them to, like, form another chain where, like, they were holding on to each other.
Yeah. They go Guardians of the Galaxy, and they just all go.
And then you see a little raccoon hand, and then the stump of it's like, here's my leg. And it's like, oh, man.
Oh, Lars.
Come on, Lars.
How has that become a bit? Maul, the shuttle's out. Maul's in hyperspace. He's gone, and he is out of the show, and see you in Solo, Mr.
See you in Solo. Bye-bye.
Amazing Ahsoka move here. She moves. She does the circle in the lightsaber, cutting the circle in the floor bit, which we've seen before. But she doesn't
it was very cool.
She force uses her lightsabers to do it. She doesn't hold her lightsaber. She moves them with the Force. I was like, wow.
So good.
Yeah,
so
that was
good.
a cool
It's like
move.
a blink and you'll miss it moment, but it was outrageous.
So cool. She's
Cuts
so cool.
the floor and they drop. This whole episode is the same attitude of, in Landing at Point Rain, where they just grab him and throw him, and there's like, next time just tell me to jump. He kind of has like a million moments like that in this episode.
He's like, he's so tired, you guys.
Yeah, and at one point he just says, just throw me. I think he's like, you're gonna just do it. I know you're gonna end up doing it. Just throw me. It's toss me. So they drop to a lower level, and that's where Jesse and tons more clones are, of course. And again, he's just exhausted. Cheap and Gigi raise the platforms and get them out of the way again, but then that's when they get blasted. Blast those dirty droids, is what one of the clones says. And this
terrible.
You get the mix of the regular 501st and the Ahsoka colored clone helmets. There's a mix this whole time, and it's just horrifying.
Well, and is it just me, or do they immediately look meaner? You know, I don't know what it was.
They do.
It's like,
they do. There's something more menacing there.
But there's something tragic about it too. That we know it's not their fault.
Right.
That's the problem. It's these are our friends, and it's astonishing how the emotions it conjures in you. It's really, well, who are you rooting against? It's like you're right. Well, you definitely.
I'd like to know.
Ahsoka and Rex,
I'd like to know if there's a way that in animation they even just like shifted the lines on their helmets a little bit. Like, did they like make
a little more?
Like, did they do something, or is it just in my mind where there's a switch that's been flipped and it seems like this is no longer the Republic, this is the Imperial. Like, these are their troops now.
It's interesting because we talked a lot with during the episodes of The Mandalorian about how emoting through a mask and a helmet. We talked to Emily Swallow about that in our first ever bonus episode, actually, that she had a lot of mask work and how she's able to convey so much through that mask. But this is different because not only, acting just with your voice, you already have a mask on, so doing that with a character with a mask, it's how do you even start to convey that? Do the animators play little tricks like that, or is that cheating? That's an interesting question, and
one we will have to get to the bottom of.
I'm not above cheating. Yeah, Matt's on it. Everybody.
I'm on it.
Worry not. Captain's Corner coming soon, I'm sure. Ahsoka and Rex are still holding off the clones. They're still not killing, and they're just defending. They find, you ready, Matt? A Y-wing in the hangar with a Zori Bliss minifig.
I thought of you.
It was so good. When I saw the Y, I was like, yes, beautiful.
It's ready to go, and right when the ship starts breaking apart, just like the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, the ship in the Coruscant atmosphere, because it's coming in the atmosphere. I thought that. Do you guys think that it's breaking?
Yeah,
we're still flying half the ship.
Yeah.
No, that's literally
the
they
fire
started
department
breaking apart.
Yeah, and they're like, we'll take you in.
Fire department's there, putting out the fire.
I literally out loud, I muttered to myself, well, we're still flying half a ship.
Yeah, it's like another happy landing. The hangar doors blast open. Rex in the Y-Wing just goes flying. The whole thing, like the whole ship just flies out. He eventually gets the engine started, and he's trying to find Ahsoka, who's just falling. And then there's this insane sequence where Ahsoka trying to get in the falling Y-Wing. And at one point, she's just running down the entire surface of the falling cruiser and then jumping from thing to thing and eventually gets in the Y-Wing. But for this sequence, mind blown.
It's an action sequence that reads to me as very much something that in the early Clone Wars, they would have done that to Anakin. Like, that's the kind of action sequence that they would put Anakin through because it's just so amazing. And it hammers home once again, like, how much Ahsoka has taken the lessons that everyone that she has ever loved has given her, and she's just morphed them into her own.
Yeah.
I also wonder if they would have done it at all because it's so intricate and there's so much going on
physically they never would have been able to, I think, but it's
But you're right, it's totally an Anakin moment, but it's Ahsoka the one that has it, and it's like here's how good she got, and she's not done yet. Transition to the downed carrier, and here we kind of transition. The whole thing turns really into a tone poem. The carrier is the Republic ship, the crew. Thank you, God. Is down. The Republic has fallen. It's just a gorgeous imagery. Rex and Ahsoka have buried all of the clones, and as grave markers, it's their helmets on sticks, and not like that shot in Mando of the Stormtrooper helmets on sticks. Which is what I marking graves. Yeah, some regular clone helmets, again, some with the Ahsoka paint, and then the last one we see is Jesse's helmet, which we know it's definitely his because of his special mark right on the front. And it's just really Ahsoka in her cloak and hood, standing in front of this graveyard, and it's what was all of this for?
Well, and you said it like the Ahsoka mask too, which was like really poignant because it's kind of like the death of her. A part of her is dead. You know,
the death of
like,
her, of Ahsoka the soldier. Yeah,
yeah, yep.
And the thing is, and she just has this moment where she's really looking at her lightsaber, and she just drops it to the ground, and she's done with this war. She's done with the Clone Wars, but the time will come where she, picks up lightsaber again, and the war to, bring the light back, if you will. But in terms of a meaningless war like this, it's done. And that was just such a beautiful, wordless thing of just Ahsoka in the cloaks. If you start the show with Ahsoka and the clones, you end it with Ahsoka and the clones, just in a completely different way.
Yeah.
Or do you?
Yeah, exactly. Because we transition to an Imperial shuttle, definitely an Imperial shuttle. It's not, with weird little cutouts and sharp edges. It's soft edge, classic Return of the Jedi shuttle Tidarium, landing at the crash site, and we can tell it must be years later because there are definitely Imperial snowtroopers out there and stormtroopers and Imperial probe
and it's
droids.
snowing now on this.
It's snowing. Thing. It's covered in snow. Yeah, the cruiser is still there, still down, covered in snow. And we hear the breath that cannot be mistaken, Vader's breath, and we see him strut. We see boots and cape strut onto the scene. He finds Ahsoka's lightsaber in the graveyard, which is still there, ignites it, and takes it. And then we hear a bird screech overhead. And I didn't get to see specifically if it was a convoy or not, but it probably was. Because at this point, she's already had that moment in Mortis. So it would be that special bird that represents her. And he walks away. So for Vader, eventually right there in the suit on the Clone Wars, fire the cannon, and also mind blown. And we close on one Ahsoka painted helmet. And we just pan in on it. And through the visor, we see a reflection of Vader walking away. So it's, how many layers are in this one shot?
So many.
It's a clone helmet painted like Ahsoka, and in the visor is their former general, now turned to the dark side, walking away in the distance.
Yeah.
The end.
My God.
I mean,
that's the way Star Wars: The Clone Wars ends. So, fire the cannon.
I mean, and Darth Vader, like looking at the blue lightsaber and like, probably thinking to himself about the kyber crystal he put in, like it's that whole moment of him holding the blue.
He takes it, which means that he's sitting around in his angsty little black rooms and he, Kylo Ren style, is staring down at this lightsaber, torturing himself over it.
Yep. Well, it's also this was pointed out. They answered this on the little after show that they put out the week after the Clone Wars episode. Somebody asked, why did the colors change? And of Ahsoka's lightsabers, and Anakin has that line. He's like, I fixed them. I kept them good. He's like, they're good as new. He's like, maybe a little better. And he's like, Anakin would know how to change would know enough. He'd know how to change the colors. So he did that intentionally, also to kind of make them a little more like him. Yeah. So it's kind of putting his persona, forcing it on her a little bit, and remember me. Yeah. It's like
he's got control issues. It's fine.
Yeah, it's. Do you think?
Just a little bit.
So that it's like, and left behind, and so she leaves Anakin behind. Next time we see her with lightsabers, they aren't blue or green. They are completely white, and stolen, manipulated crystals from a dead Inquisitor. Anyway, but that is a story for another time. Thoughts on this end of the Clone Wars, Caitlin Bush?
I never could have predicted it, but I love it. I think, I don't know, this is the kind of very quiet, very contemplative, very not sad, because we know what happens next. We know what the finale is here. It ultimately is very hopeful, but it is sad in the moment. And I think personally that a lot of people are going to have problems with this finale. I think people are maybe not going to react well, mostly because when does the Star Wars fandom react well to an ending of any sort?
Yeah.
Oh, well, with Rise of Skywalker, they reacted very positively.
But so, I mean, no one wants it to be over. It was time for it to end because that's where the story was going. But I think this kind of very quiet, very, I feel like a lot of people are going to be dissatisfied, which makes me sad because I'm very satisfied.
Yeah. Before I get to Matt, I want to hear what it's been like for you because you started watching the show when we started covering it.
Yeah.
You had not watched this show before.
No.
You'd seen little snippets of it, but when we started covering it for this, you watched the entire show. So you've pretty much in the last few months, you have watched the entirety of the Clone Wars pretty much for the first time at once.
Yeah.
From beginning to end. What was that? What was it like watching it in that way? Before we get to Matt, who I know has watched it another way.
It is absolutely nuts. I knew I was gonna like it. I didn't think that I would like it as much as I did. I didn't think that I would get so emotionally involved with it. But it's Star Wars, so of course I'm gonna get emotionally involved with it because I'm me. But I am so blown away by the level of storytelling that Dave Filoni and his team accomplished every single time with this final season and with every season in like before that. Just mind blown, literally. Like every time I think about the narrative that they have woven and the intensity with which people love this series. It's an animated series, by all accounts, people should not be as attached to an animated series as they should a live action series because that's just how people work. But people are rightfully attached to this, and it's absolutely glorious.
If you had to answer right now, favorite character, the whole series, doesn't matter if they're classic, original or not, who would you say on this series?
I mean, Obi-Wan still.
Obi-Wan. Okay.
Obi-Wan will always be my favorite Star Wars character.
Is there a favorite episode, a favored episode from the whole thing? Would you still go with what you went with before, or something displaced it?
Oh my God.
And Matt, this question's coming up for you too.
Okay,
so.
I'm thinking. Yeah.
I think. I mean, this final arc has been absolutely mind blowing. I still will never get over, the entire Mandalore falls to Maul and Sabine dying, and that whole narrative is gorgeous.
Pretty much the Lawless.
Yeah,
the Lawless.
I think they're comparable in the level of just epicness that ensues. But
it's interesting because you can't have this without that.
You can't, and it complements each other so dang well. Like just like I said, the narrative that they're weaving is just masterful.
It builds and builds and builds, and without that, you wouldn't have this. And if that wasn't as good as effective as it was,
this wouldn't be as good.
Work at all.
Yeah.
So there you are, Matt Romano. You have not watched. You have been watching this show pretty much like I have, right? You watched it. You watched it as it was on. Originally.
Yeah, I watched it as I was on. I took a break. I forget after season 5, maybe. So I had to come back and rewatch.
So did the show.
Yeah. Right. Well, no, wait. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, yeah. After season 5, then I didn't watch 6. I didn't watch 6 right away. I don't remember, but anyway, I watched from the beginning.
So you've been with it for a while.
Yeah.
But would you say, listening to Caitlin and her recent experience, yours has been over a few years. How has it differed? Or has it? Is it still,
I think it's different, just I never expected it to become what it has. I think in the beginning it was very much like, hey, it's a kid's show. And, there were good episodes here and there in the beginning, but then it really just kicked into a totally different gear as the series went on. And I think that with this last arc, it's some of the best Star Wars we've gotten in years. And Disney Plus already has been a kind of a treasure trove between The Mandalorian and this last season of Clone Wars. This has been a great year for Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I loved it. All those people that might be disappointed with it, like, what else could you see? Like, the Clone Wars gave us everything. And
I mean, a lot of Padawans aren't, because our Twitters are blowing up with.
Oh yeah,
they're just like raving about it. So I'll say that it's already. So I mean, I don't. But you yourself, on this 12-year journey, are you satisfied?
I'm absolutely satisfied. That last episode was a set piece that was worthy of one of the films. Like it was just as epic.
Absolutely. I
so
think there's
good.
a lot. There's a lot in this whole series that is on par with the films.
Yeah.
No question.
And one last observation on like that scene with Vader. It's like we were talking earlier about emoting through a mask. I mean, that whole sequence, it's just like you don't even get to see Vader. Like all the animation of the Empire era stuff is amazing. And like I just wanted them to like zoom in on a stormtrooper or give us like that beauty shot of Vader, but like you only see him a little bit. Like you see from behind
like
him.
Snapshots.
You know what's great, Matt, is if you want that, there's this show called Star Wars Rebels that you can watch.
Yes, yeah, but still, animation is a little bit different. Like there's
it is
subtly different.
But, you know what's cool is that final shot here is very similar to a shot we see when they confront each other again, in that she's reflected in one of the eyes of his
eyes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Walking forward, and one of his eyes is busted or whatever. There's so many parallels with Twilight of the Apprentice is the episode there that will rip your heart out.
I think it's very appropriate that we only see bits and pieces of this Vader, though. It's
right.
Yeah.
Vader's
I wouldn't have wanted
epic.
any more. I'm glad he didn't talk.
Like you hear of course the first thing that you're gonna hear is you're gonna hear the breathing, and then you get a little bit of the outline. You see the swish of the cape. Like it's all of these elements that make this character just so iconic.
Yep.
And you don't need any more. And although it was Matt Lanter wearing the suit.
I was actually thinking about that.
He did the breath. He did the breathing.
So Matt Romano, if lightsaber to your throat, all-time favorite Clone Wars character, who?
It's got to be Ahsoka or Maul.
Ahsoka or Maul.
Wow. Yeah, Ahsoka or Maul. I mean, just because their performances are so good. Sam Witwer is freaking fantastic, and so is Ashley.
You now have a personal connection with Sam Witwer.
Well, now that he's on my voicemail,
just so we can play it, would you please?
Matt Romano, your name reflects failure.
Thank you.
So good.
But this last arc has just been so good. I don't know. But
Favorite episode has your previous favorite been displaced? I forget what your previous favorite was. It was I think we all said the Lawless.
We all said the Lawless.
Yeah, it was all the Lawless or Landing at Point Rain. I think it was either one of those two.
I mean, they're kind of. I also always have a fondness for the Yoda arc in season 6.
Yep.
And I still think that's incredibly pivotal. If I had to pick one from this arc, it would probably be the Phantom Apprentice.
Yeah, Phantom Apprentice.
And
excellent.
But it's hard. This whole arc is
masterful.
Really
I can't wait to go back and watch it all at once.
All 4. Yeah. It's. I thought you were going to say go back to the movie and watch the entire show again, which I know you're going to do as soon as we're done.
Yeah.
And then Caitlin just had to sleep.
It's been 12 years with this show, and this is the end of 12 years after 2 comebacks. We thought it was done twice, and this is the show that would not quit. And it's crazy to think how much things change in 12 years. And as is usually the case with Star Wars, not to get too serious, I mean, Star Wars has, even when I was a kid with the original trilogy, has seen me through some tough times in my life. And as a semi adult, if you can even call it that, this show was kind of there to get me through some very interesting and, I'll just say it, dark periods, and then some wonderful light periods as well. And then culminating in this joyous celebration 12 years ago. If you told me in 12 years you'll be on a podcast still talking about this show, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. What that movie that silly little movie with that purple hut or whatever, or what are you, nuts?
You're gonna be doing that voice.
Star Wars is over. Yeah, it's like Star Wars is over. It's like, and they'll be like, also there'll be 3 more movies and a live action show, and I'll be like, what?
Yeah, right.
Also, guess what else is happening in the world? I'll be like, what?
What?
But no, it's crazy to think about. This show has been there, and that's what Star Wars does. Star Wars is there, and the Clone Wars have ended, but Star Wars never end. Sommelier pairing, the final sommelier pairing ever. The Clone Wars theatrical film. Yes.
Start with the beginning, huh?
I should have. It technically Cat and Mouse is chronologically the beginning, but I should have done the theatrical film when we did the first of this episode, but the first of this arc. But anyway, that and just watch that and just to see how far they have come. They went in 12 years to see how far a group of hardworking artists can go and push themselves in 12 years. Watch that and then watch this. It is insane. Also, the novel Star Wars Ahsoka by the great E.K. Johnston. The canon is I really, really want to talk to her about the continuity here because it's not quite the same anymore. And I'm very curious to see if there's a way that it still kind of works or if it doesn't. Well, with that, we're going to bid the fondest of farewells to Star Wars, The Clone Wars. Sir, yes, sir. For the full episode, check us out wherever you get your podcasts. The podcasts will continue. Jabba the Pod will always continue. The video version of the podcast, we're going to be taking a little bit of a break, but we may be back at some point. Who knows? But in the meantime, check out our weekly episodes and bonus episodes wherever you get your podcasts. And hopefully, we will see you soon. Happy May the 4th. This is Jabba the Pod. To subscribe, click here. For more videos, click here. And be sure to find our full episode wherever you get your podcasts.